Welcome to the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum for the contested races for Kane County Sheriff and Kane County Board Seats 2, 11, and 13. Tonight is our first of two forums. I'm Kelly Rotella with the Voter Services Committee for the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County, and I live in St. Charles. First, I say thank you very much to Batavia City Hall for once again opening your doors for us and helping us in our mission to educate voters in this election. This forum is designed to focus specifically on contested races. I would like to take a second to clarify our empty chair policy, which ensures that we do not hold forums in which only one candidate is in attendance. In the case of only one candidate's participation, that candidate will have the opportunity to offer a brief introductory statement of up to 3 minutes. The candidates who are present here tonight have all signed and agreed to the format and media policies established by the League of Women Voters. We have proactively gathered questions in advance from the community and are also welcoming questions from tonight's audience. Please look for our volunteers who are circulating. They have cards ready to go. The questions will be reviewed by our trained league members for clarity and relevance. We may not be able to address every question during the time tonight, so afterwards, I encourage you to reach out directly to the candidates should your question go unasked. This evening's event is being live streamed and recorded by Audrey Karpf from our local Batavia cable access station, BATV. The recording will be shared on the websites of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County and BATV. Our moderator for tonight's forum is Barbara Lymans. Now we're going to get started. Thank you, Moderator Lymans.
Thank you, Kelly. Welcome to the Candidate Forum for the Democratic candidates for the candidates for Kane County Sheriff, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. My name is Barb Lymans, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton and your moderator tonight. I live in West Chicago, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forums tonight. As Kelly said, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civil civic discourse. If there is controversy, our interest is to bring balance and fairness to the discussion and ensure that all parties have been heard. Providing forums for voter education is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so citizens can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to learn about the candidates running for office. As I said, the goal of the League of Women Voters is to hold forums in contested races so voters can make an informed choice. All Republican candidates for Kane County Sheriff were invited to participate in a forum tonight. We believe it is important to offer every candidate the opportunity to share their vision with the community. We are disappointed that Republican candidate for sheriff Rob Russell has declined the invitation to participate. Therefore, per policy of the League of Women Voters, we are providing Republican candidate Luis Santoyo 3 minutes to speak, so you can hear directly from him, his goals, and his platform. Candidate Santoyo, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lou Santoyo, and I am running for Kane County Sheriff. I currently serve as a village trustee in the village of Elburn, where I've been a resident for about 15 years now. I come from Chicago. I was brought to this country by my parents at the age of 7 months, so therefore I'm an immigrant myself. I grew up on 18th Street, Pilsen. In 1978, when I was about 8 years old, I saw a man shot in front of me in the middle of the street when I was playing baseball with my little brother. The man fell to the ground and I ran over to him, and I was a little boy. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I stood over this man and I watched him die. His eyes were locked into my eyes, and the worst feeling that I could ever feel at that moment was the fact that I could do nothing to help this man. And that man became like a ghost that I could never outrun. This man appeared in my dreams, in my thoughts, and I couldn't shake him. So as the years went by, instead of trying to run away from this man, I ran toward him. I ran into a 28-year career in law enforcement. I began my career in 1995 at the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department. the second largest county in the country, and the third largest police department in the state of Illinois. Most of my career, I served as a police detective, and I investigated the worst of the crimes you could imagine. I was passionate about my work, but it was very hard work. I investigated homicides, I investigated gang shootings, cartel murders, murder for hires at the Cook County Jail, and I spent 5 years in a unit called Child Exploitation, Human Trafficking in the Special Operations Unit. I worked in conjunction with the FBI's Innocent Images Task Force, and that is where I got my real life law enforcement experience. I have training to support this. I was trained at the Chicago Police Detective Academy when I became a new detective. I was a hostage negotiator on the SWAT team. I was trained by the FBI in Quantico, Virginia, and my time is running out. So I'm going to hurry up and end. I've talked to numerous citizens in Kane County. I've walked the streets. I've talked to hundreds of people, and I've listened to what they need. Transparency, presence, quick response time, and personnel to fulfill all the needs that we have here in Kane County. And I believe that I am the man to do the job and to do it correctly because I have the background, I have the education, I hold a master's degree in criminal behavior, I have the training, and I currently serve as an assistant warden at a state facility for one of the correctional facilities for the state of Illinois. And these are all things that I bring to the table as your next sheriff of Kane County. And when you go to vote, just remember one thing: Lou is for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're just going to take a minute and reset the stage for the Democrat candidates for sheriff. So candidate Rodriguez and candidate Johnson, will you please come forward and take a seat? So now we'll proceed to a forum for the Democratic candidates for Kane County Sheriff, candidate Salvador Rodriguez and candidate Amy Johnson. The format is not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions, and refrain from commenting on the views of the other candidate. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by the candidates. It is the responsibility of the community members, news media, opposing candidates to fact-check statements made by the candidates. All candidates have agreed and assigned and returned the ground rules to participate tonight. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with their 1-minute opening statements. They'll then alternate in the order in which they answer questions for 1 minute. And after the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 1-minute closing statement. Members of the league will act as timers, and I will enforce the time limits. They gave me a gavel, so be careful. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. We have received questions from the community in advance of tonight's forum. To ensure that questions represent a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters have reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness, applicable to all candidates, and to avoid duplication. You may submit questions during the forum, writing your questions legibly on index cards provided, which volunteers will collect. We'll do our best to read as many questions as possible within the time frame allotted. We are grateful to you in the community who have taken time to learn more about the candidates before casting your vote by attending and watching this candidate forum. For those in attendance today, we do request that you do not take photos or video during the forum. It is a distraction to other members of the audience and to the candidates. Please listen attentively, turn off your phones, and electronic devices, avoid commenting or disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the end of the forum. We are grateful to the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who have agreed to come here today to share their goals and positions. So let's begin. Candidate Johnson, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Amy Johnson, and I'm running for Kane County Sheriff. I spent more than 20 years serving this community, starting as an intern, as a detective, chief of staff, and now under sheriff. I've worked almost every level of this office. I know the job, I know the people, and I know the responsibility that comes with leading the sheriff's office. I'm running now because Kane County deserves experienced, steady leadership. Leadership that keeps our community safe while treating people with dignity and respect. As sheriff, my focus will be clear: supporting our deputies and corrections staff, strengthening community trust, expanding mental health partnerships, and using taxpayer dollars responsibly. I'd be honored to earn your support and your vote, and thank you very much for being a part of our community here.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, your 1 minute opening statement.
I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I grew up in Aurora and attended Aurora Public Schools. I earned my bachelor's degree and master's degree from Aurora University and later served as adjunct professor. My wife and I have 2 adult children, our daughter Lisa, who is an educator for Chicago Public Schools, South Side, and our son Lance, who works for a large insurance company. I bring nearly 30 years of dedicated law enforcement experience and leadership, having risen through the ranks and concluding my career as a lieutenant. I am a lifelong Democrat with a proven voting record that reflects and supports my values. I am currently a member of the Western Kane Democrats and a Democratic precinct committeeman. I am running to bring new direction to the sheriff's office, one that prioritizes building strong relationships with all communities, something I have focused on throughout my entire career. I am also committed to being a fiscally responsible leader who respects and safeguards taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, the first question will begin with you. And the question is this: in your opinion, what are the 2 most pressing issues facing the Kane County Sheriff's Office, and what will you do to address them?
As sheriff, my highest priority is safety in our neighborhoods, schools, and communities. That safety is achieved by building strong, trusting relationships and delivering visible, effective public safety. I will increase patrols in unincorporated Kane County areas with visibility, reduce response times, and establish community input boards to ensure residents have a voice in public safety decisions. I will continue programs that address the cycle of adult incarceration while also investing in our youth, especially those who are underserved and high risk. During my time as sergeant, I created and implemented the Explorer and the Cadet programs, focusing on career readiness, mentorship, and personal development. Building relationships has always been essential to my leadership, and it will remain a core priority as sheriff. I will be present, engaged, accessible, ensuring every resident in Kane County feels safe, respected, and heard.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, in your opinion, what are the 2 most pressing issues facing the Kane County Sheriff's Office, and what will you do to address them?
So the 2 most pressing issues right now are: how are we going to make sure our budget sustains? Because with equipment, anything else with the taxes, we want to make sure that we're smooth sailing and I don't have to go back to the county board to ask for more funding once we're approved. I want to make sure with our FLAC, our Axon, anything else that we have, because we're allotted 92 deputies for public safety, we're allotted 114 officers for corrections. I want to make sure that 100% for recruitment and retention, we don't have to go back to say, here's our mandations moving forward as to why. So the 2 pressing issues are: we want to make sure for budgetary restraints that we keep them and we don't have to do taxpayer analysis to make sure that we're raising taxes, absolutely not, and that we're fiscally responsible and that we don't pressure mandations moving forward, and that we do recruitment and retention. So again, as a reference, we want to make sure no budgetary restraints and no mandations, moving ahead, because we want to make sure, again, recruitment and retention.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, what role has the Kane County Sheriff played in working with other Kane County departments or agencies? What changes do you think might need to be made in the sheriff's role as it relates to working with other Kane County departments or agencies? Do you need me to repeat that?
I will break it down into two and probably repeat the second portion of it again, just so we're clear. We have great responsibilities with both Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles, and so on. We have Major Crimes Task Force, which we're partnering with detectives and also crime scene analysts. How we can partner a little bit more is we can have more proactive responses with them. We only see them potentially with Major Crimes Task Force, I'm saying, is when major crimes happen. So we're talking about homicides, officer-involved shootings, all of these above. What we can do is we can partner more with, hey, how can we help you? How can we sustain equipment? What do your agencies need moving ahead? We have great relationships with all of the above, but moving forward, how can we partner a little bit further? They have great equipment that we might not have, and vice versa. We just need communication and open sessions moving forward. So I think we can sustain our partnerships that we have a great amount of with our SWAT team and negotiations, but also have open communication as to what we can do to press through for the future.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, let me repeat the question. What role has the Kane County Sheriff played in working with other Kane County departments or agencies? And what changes might need to be made in the sheriff's role as it relates to working with other Kane County departments or agencies?
As sheriff, I will make sure that we get along with all police departments, especially the Aurora Police Department. I will mend our relationship. One of the big things that I've been talking about is unincorporated Kane County. Let's focus on unincorporated Kane County, the western portion of Kane County, especially the small police departments out west. We're the larger department. Let's be out there and to back them, and for us to be back in that, and they to be backing us. One of the things I want to do is get more substations out there in Burlington, Lake Marion, Casa de Aero, Big Rock. So let's get out there, and that's how we're going to get along, is we're going to be out there with the other police departments, showing that we want to support them at all costs.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, we'll begin with you. What kind of specialized professional training should be required for employees, both law enforcement employees and administrative service employees of the Sheriff's Department, that is currently not required?
As sheriff, and one of the first things that I want to do, and I've mentioned this throughout my nearly 2 years of being out talking to the community, is let's first go to our neighborhoods, our communities, and hire from there. Because who better to serve those communities than those are from the community? We need to make sure that when we hire those, they're qualified. No political hires. They have to pass tests. So I will be out there pushing for recruitment.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, what kind of specialized professional training should be required for employees, both law enforcement employees and administrative service employees of the Sheriff's Department, that is currently not required?
So I think for administrative services, we have to do more requirements with leadership. If we're doing supervisory, so sergeants, lieutenants, command staff, we need to make sure we have a succession plan. We need to make sure that we're moving through the ranks and that we give them the proper building tools so they can actually properly supervise and be mentors and move forward. So whether that's staff and command, Northwestern, FBI Academy, the trifecta of whatever is needed, we need to give those building tools for them so they can actually be mentors and then also work through whatever is needed for proper communication. On the second front too, whether it's public safety, corrections, or court security, we also need to work with just communications. We take what's called verbal judo, but that really doesn't do much. Within our communities, we need to know how to talk to everybody. We also need to do autism awareness, which we only have about 4 hours of. We need to be more prepared for mental health and autism moving forward. 4 hours is not enough with that for mandations. We need to be more aware of that. Same thing with social work. We need to also acclimate into social work just a little bit more for that.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, this is a multi-part question again. So, please comment on the current state of mental health assessment and treatment services for jail inmates. What additional assessments and services are needed? And what would your role be in obtaining those services and sources of revenue?
For assessment services, I would make sure that we have not only more implementation moving forward, we have Ecker Center, we also have, I think it's AID going through, but we also have 2 social workers that we could potentially move forward into the jail. Obviously, 2 is not enough for a population of 300 plus that are probably in need of some sort of service in breaking that down. So the implementation also is Lighthouse is not going to be enough sustainability with just 1 to 2 people. We need to move forward in making sure that only Lighthouse has enough staff for the implementation of whatever programs that we need. So in partnering with our community, Ecker Center, and maybe other elements of Aurora and Elgin, I think we would be able to actually have more implementation within our jails for the programs that are needed. Again, doing maybe an audit, doing maybe a survey of what would you like to see, because we've never done that within our jail of the services that are needed. I think that would be beneficial.
Candidate Rodriguez, please comment on the current state of mental health assessment and treatment services for jail inmates. What additional assessments and services are needed? And what would your role be in obtaining these sources of revenue to implement?
When I think of corrections, I think of the reentry program. I strongly believe in the diversion and reentry program that help individuals successfully transition back into the community through job training, specialized treatment, and employment opportunities. Unfortunately, the department released Judy Dawson and Corey Dixon, leaders of these critical programs, citing budget concerns. As sheriff, I will make sure that we continue to offer these programs for those who are incarcerated. As far as revenue generating, that's something that I will have to take a look at. But ultimately, we need to staff the Sheriff's Office corrections appropriately before we actually deal with the programs, because no employees, no program.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez. The sheriff position entails a lot of community involvement. What organizations are you involved in outside of your current job, and which is the most rewarding?
I am a proud member of the Rotary Club of Aurora United, the Elgin Hispanic Network, and my wife and I have been active in the Kane County Democratic Women Organization and the Illinois Tejano Association. I volunteer at the Marie Wilkinson Food Pantry, supporting both East Aurora High School site and elderly home deliveries program. I also serve as a rally marshal for We Can Lead Change and stay engaged with United Restore Aurora's Ward 2 community group. I am deeply committed to our youth through Real Men, Real Talk. Thank you, Darnell. Boys and Girls Club of North Central Illinois. Thank you, Cedric. Scouting of America's 3 Fire Council out of St. Charles with Len. Beyond that, I donate and participate in community effects, including Chicago Public Schools, the Aurora Area Interfaith Food Pantry, the Salvation Army of Elgin in Aurora, Anderson Humane Walk for Animals, the Elgin Crop Hunger Walk, Elgin Domestic Violence Awareness Walks, and Marshall's Run, Walk, and Roll. All of them are great, and we need to volunteer more.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, the same question.
I'm a volunteer at VSW in Batavia for specific events. We have a prom coming up. Board member for Kane County CASA, which is fantastic. Help Our Youth, Guardian Ad Litem. Board member for Boys and Girls Club, Batavia Charter. Board member for Safety Committee for Boys and Girls Club also. Board member for Illinois Division of International Association for Identification. Community member and parishioner at Holy Cross Church in Batavia. Citizen Sheriff's Academy instructor. Instructor at Aurora University for Criminal Justice. Instructor at Northwestern University for Staff and Command. Previous instructor at Elgin Community College for Criminal Justice. Mutual Ground, League of Women Voters, Democratic Women. Instructor at St. Xavier for Criminal Justice. Participation Organization for Kane County National Night Outs. support for multiple youth sports, schools, and service organizations within Kane County, Special Olympics, Kane County Specialty Courts volunteering. And so the most rewarding would probably be CASA and specialty courts because we give back 100%, not only for juveniles, but specialty courts for those coming through our programs with the state's attorney's office.
Thank you. I'm going to allow an extra 30 seconds for this question. So for timers, it'll be a minute, 30 seconds. And we'll start with candidate Johnson. How do you interpret the sheriff's role in enforcing state and federal laws related to immigration? And we'll start with candidate Johnson.
On that one, for immigration, we've also had the state's attorney's office do a press release for it. So 100%, and I will just be, and I wrote this out, but I want to be, honest about this. We will go with what the state mandates. So what our governor says. We are not going with immigration enforcement 100%. We want to make sure that our communities are safe, and 100%, again, those walking in our doors feel safe and secure with that. So regardless of what happens and what's going on, we want to make sure too that everybody feels safe coming through. So no immigration enforcement, and whatever is going on, that is the federal government, not us moving forward. So I don't want to review what I've said specifically also because the state's attorney's office in tandem with the sheriff has responded to that. But I want to make sure and very clear that no matter what community organization and our citizens feel safe and secure because we are protecting them knowing we're following the state and our governor's guidelines.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, how do you interpret the sheriff's role in enforcing state and federal laws related to immigration?
I will not cooperate with ICE in immigration enforcement. Public safety depends on trust, and I will protect the rights of all residents under Illinois law. I will not participate in abusive tactics that undermine human rights, conduct that should concern law enforcement leaders nationwide. De-escalation, de-escalation. I have never engaged in those behaviors during my law enforcement career, and I will not tolerate that as sheriff. A dark cloud currently hangs over the sheriff's office, and I am committed to restoring integrity, professionalism, and trust. The sheriff's office must remain focused solely on serving and protecting Kane County residents and ensuring the safety and dignity of those held at the Kane County Jail, and I won't waver on that.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, what do you see as the main responsibilities of the sheriff as opposed to those of the municipal police departments?
Kane County Sheriff serves as Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the county. Absolutely. The sheriff we ensure that the law enforcement services are enforced, especially unincorporated Kane County. Corrections in the jail, right? We operate the jail. Courthouse and court civil process, public safety. We are tasked with so many divisions that as a chief law enforcement officer of Kane County, I will perform that. I'm sorry. So as sheriff, law enforcement chief officer of the county, I will make sure that we enforce all policies.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, what do you see as the main responsibilities of the sheriff as opposed to those of the municipal police departments?
So the municipal police departments are there to support their main areas. So meaning Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles are there to support Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles. We are the backbone of entirely Kane County. So we also support our corrections facility, your local jail, all of the evictions, all of the other federal regulations, meaning if there is a warrant that comes in for anything, Winnebago County, all of these other things, we are there to also go through that warrant. So when I speak about federal stuff, please don't misinterpret this. If a Winnebago has a warrant that we have to serve in Kane County also, we are there to be responsible for that. So we are there to serve any other warrants, all of the other effects for evictions, and so on and so forth. So we are there as the backbone to support all the other municipalities moving forward. We are there also to service the jail. We are also there to service all of your court services. So the main responsibility of Kane County Sheriff is to not only be the backbone of your entire county, but to also support all the other municipalities.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, how would you develop and maintain trust with law enforcement in all the communities of the county?
To maintain trust with law enforcement in all of the communities that we are focusing on too, it has to be accountability. We have to have integrity. We have to have communication going forward, because if we don't have all of those things, we fall apart. So in order to move forward with all of those, we have to be spot on when we talk, when we de-escalate situations, when we have open communication. Because if I don't tell Aurora or Elgin what we're doing, specifically, hey, we're in your area based on XYZ, and we don't tell the citizens and we don't move forward with that, we lose responsibility, we lose trust, we lose our integrity. I want to make sure that we maintain that moving forward, because that's exactly what we should be doing. I want to be transparent going forward with that. And to make sure to do that, obviously it's communication and transparency, and it's also that integrity factor, bottom line. If we lose all of that, we lose our community and we lose the trust of every single other law enforcement agency that relies on us.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, the same question.
Could you repeat that, please?
Sure.
Can you repeat that,
How
please?
would you develop and maintain trust with law enforcement in all the communities of Kane County?
Absolutely. I think being out there and supporting those who serve the public, absolutely. I'm from the community, for the community, and building relationship with our brothers and sisters in law enforcement is absolutely important. As sheriff, I will be out there talking to everybody, not because I am the top law enforcement officer in Kane County, but it's what we can offer for the smaller departments, the larger departments. Let's get along. Let's protect everybody. But as sheriff, I will get along with everyone.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, what current policies would you continue and which ones would you not continue at the sheriff's office?
And I'm going to talk about the reentry program. So absolutely, positively, the reentry, program at the county jail, absolutely, positively. But one of the things that I really see that we're missing, that I've been passionate about, is investing in our youth, especially the underserved and high risk. Let's get them before they get in that vicious cycle of incarceration. I'm in the community, for the community. Let's focus on them, and I will make that a priority.
Candidate Johnson, what current policies would you continue and which ones would you not continue at the sheriff's office?
So instead of current programs, we're talking about current policies. I want to make sure that all of our Lexipol policies is what we call, it's our manual, that we have one for court security, we have one for corrections, and we have one for public safety, if I'm hearing that correctly. We do our audits internally and with the state's attorney's office. So our policies and procedures, I want to make sure that they are current, they are up to date, and if anything needs to be changed, we are working on it. So use of force, all of our sexual harassment, all of these things are up to date. So when I take it as policies, that's what I'm taking it as for that. For programs, if we're looking at that too, obviously all of our programs for the residents within our jail facility, we are conducting an audit to make sure that they are not only beneficial for our residents, but also that they stay within the realm of what our budgeting is too. We're looking at our TAC training for our public safety officers to make sure that they are well trained in de-escalation techniques and use of force. So we are always making sure those auditing procedures are useful and well-rounded for that. What I could actually get rid of, we'll have to see for the policy and auditing.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, how would you approach correction officer overtime mandates at the jail, and how would any changes impact jail services?
So any single entity, no matter if it's in Kane County, Winnebago County, Kankakee County, will have mandations, will have overtime, because you cannot predict when your residents will become sick, have to be rushed to Delnor or any other facility. So that's one of them. Second is you cannot predict when your staff might have to take FMLA, ADA, all of these other workman comps. So the mandations are just a way that we have to pressure through. We are at 110 roughly around deputies. We are allotted 114. We're doing so much recruitment and retention right now too. It is also the game plan of we are trying to recruit as many corrections officers as possible. So in order to do that, our funding, all of the lateral deputies that are going through, we are working as hard as we can. In order to fix that, it's just not a one-stop shop that you're fixing on day one. You have to look at what are your shift allocations, what are you working on, how much allotted for midnight shift, and so on and so forth. So it's not just a one-time fix. There's a lot of other moving parts that you have to put into perspective.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, how would you approach correction officer overtime mandates at the jail, and how would any changes impact jail services?
The sheriff's office, particularly the county jail, is not adequately staffed, and those staffing shortages have created serious safety, morale, and operational challenges. Mandatory overtime has become far too common, negatively impacting the performance, retention, and employee well-being. For example, in 2023, 2024, and 2025, corrections officers were mandated to work overtime more than 800 times each year. That is unacceptable. The average nearly 70 times per month that an officer is forced to stay an additional 4 to 6 hours, directly affecting their physical health, mental well-being, and job performance. I will address this problem head-on by restoring appropriate minimum staffing levels that were reduced, now in place, both corrections officers and detainees at risk. The same issue is when patrol. We essentially have the same number of patrol deputies today as when I was hired back in '95. Despite population growth, increased demands, that too is unacceptable.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, what types of training do you believe are most important for deputies today?
Train escalation. We did it when we were there, and absolutely, de-escalation, de-escalation, de-escalation. Let's make sure that if we can de-escalate a situation, let's do that. I am wholeheartedly for that, and I will continue to pass that message. Let's de-escalate.
Candidate Johnson, what types of training do you believe are most important for deputies today?
I think it's a three-part answer for that. Absolutely de-escalation tactics, but it also comes in a different package too. You have autism awareness because we are going through so much right now within our communities. You also have mental health awareness. We only have a couple portions of training. We have a 40-hour CIT class, which has mental health awareness. So de-escalation along with mental health awareness, along with also social work and autism awareness is the larger package that we need to go through in order to be a community development, because no matter what, in order to go through different houses, we are coming through so much more mental health. We have 53,000 calls for service in just 2025. Half of those, if not less than that, were actually mental health related, with social workers being called back to that residence. So that's the most for that three-part that we need to really work on as deputies moving forward, because that's what we're coming through within our communities as the most, and helping those families move forward.
Candidate Johnson, we'll begin with you. And to build on the last question, how should the Sheriff's Office collaborate with mental health providers, social service agencies, and local governments?
We should continue to keep what we're doing and build those relationships within our community. Right now, we are working, as I said, with Lighthouse, but we are also pairing with the Ecker Center. We are also pairing with other entities, Hesed House, and our social workers. We have 2 right now. We are hoping to get a 3rd one at no cost with Rising, just to pair through and see what we're working towards. We also have our internships, where we have interns coming through our doors that partner with Aurora University, Chicago, and so on, that what can you provide us at these university levels that we can partner through with mental health that we might not have for not only our correction side, but also public safety, because at the end of the day, when you're at your worst time that you're seeing our Kane County deputies, the social work that comes through doesn't have that stigma as potentially those deputies do. So what can we push through for that will actually help and benefit, and we're actually seeing a larger success rate. So again, pairing with the community for that trust, the Ecker Center, and going forward, I think we can really benefit.
Candidate Rodriguez, how should the Sheriff's Office collaborate with mental health providers, social service agencies, and local governments?
If I can amen what Amy just said, absolutely. Let's continue. We see it every day that people or those out there that need help are going through a crisis. Absolutely, and that's where de-escalation. Social workers, hopefully, as sheriff, I will put them out with uniformed officers. Like the Aurora Police Department has a great unit where the social workers are out there with their police officers, so we don't have to wait for any response times or reaction. Absolutely, because of the addiction and mental issues, that let's get some help for those who need help.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, what strategies would you use to address crime prevention while also respecting civil rights and liberties?
Absolutely. What I've been talking about is for unincorporated Kane County, let's focus on unincorporated Kane County, more visible deputies, shorter response times, building relationships with the communities that prevents crimes, that solve issues, and that makes our neighborhood stronger. I am for that. While being out there, building relationships, that is what I'm about.
Candidate Johnson?
I believe we have to pair with our municipalities. So again, Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles, Elgin, and Aurora, because they have technology that we potentially don't with respect to their Fourth Amendment. So with the technology also, and we have to be aware that, of course, in 2026, law enforcement has to evolve within our community. We want to make sure that data that pinpoints where our crimes are being targeted the most and targeting our communities, we're allocating necessary resources to. So, for example, if there's residential burglaries in one specific section of your community, we want to make sure that that targeted data is specific enough so we can submit deputies. We can actually partner with community organizations. We can continue neighborhood watches, our township deputies, and we can allocate those services moving forward. We also want to make sure that community watches, our vocational entities, church leaders, we have discussions on what can we do for your communities, because when we show up, we solve the problem, but then we leave. So we want to make sure we have that partnership.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, how would you ensure accountability and transparency when complaints are made against deputies?
I would continue to make sure that we build the trust and we are 100% transparent. We have a website right now where you can do a complaint or you can do anything else and send an email. So a compliment or a complaint. We have tracking software right now that no matter what, we do auditing. So if you do have a complaint against any type of officer, whether court security, public safety, or corrections, it specifically routes to our Office of Professional Standards. And at that time too, it makes sure that it's delegated to the appropriate person, whether supervisor or above, and that necessary course of action written in our collective bargaining unit goes to where it's needed to, and that course of action. If there's 2, 3, 4 complaints generated, we step in to make sure that the right discipline is generated also. So again, we want to make sure that we elevate where we're at, but also recognize that if we need to step in, we do that immediately to make sure our community is well protected and move forward.
Candidate Rodriguez, How would you ensure accountability and transparency when complaints are made against deputies?
One of the things that I've been talking about on this campaign trail is instituting a citizens review board. If Aurora Police Department can do it and Elgin Police Department can do it, we can do it as well. I've talked to deputies and police officers all over the area, and they like that. Why? Because they know that when discipline is going to be administered, it's going to be fair for each and every one of us. One of the things that I don't want under my administration is things to be swept under the rug. Accountability, accountability, accountability. Citizens Review Board, we get the community involved, we're transparent, and when we have trust, we have the community on our side.
Thank you. To build a little bit on your answer, Candidate Rodriguez, how will you as sheriff hold your deputies accountable to the citizens? Do you believe the sheriff department needs a citizen review board?
I will lead by example. And I've said this forever and ever and ever. I will lead by example. The Citizens Review Board would be a window for our community to say we're being transparent. I truly believe that we need to be more transparent, and one of the ways is the Citizens Review Board.
Candidate Johnson, the same question. How will you as sheriff hold your deputies accountable to the citizens? And do you believe a sheriff department needs a citizen review board?
So we have proper checks and balances right now with Office of Professional Standards, along with the State's Attorney's Office for investigations. But however, I'm not going to rule out the conversation of potentially having a civilian review board in tandem with our Office of Professional Standards and the State's Attorney's Office, because we still need communication. We still need to continue that dialogue when something like this happens, whether it's an officer-involved shooting or something major that happens within our communities. We need that open dialogue, like I stated, but also you need to understand, too, that we have an administrative investigation, we have a civil investigation, and a criminal investigation going forward. Not to say that it's downplayed, but also that 100% we want our communities to have that open discussion. So again, we would always be open to that conversation, but we also have those checks and balances in place with the Major Crimes Task Force or the State's Attorney's Office for that. And we would always hold our officers accountable, especially in me being sheriff.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, what would your priorities be for recruiting and retaining staff?
For recruitment and retention, that has always been a priority within our community because we want our community to reflect who we are in Kane County. In growing up in Kane County, I want to make sure that no matter what, this is where I was born, I was raised, and where you can work because it's fantastic. Recruitment and retention, we still go and continue to go to social fairs and community engagement, Elgin Community College, Aurora University, all of our other entities out there, high schools. So we are actively out there and actively recruiting along with the Merit Commission. So again, just for an example, we've only had 15 applicants for corrections. It's not for lack of trying. It's just we want to make sure, again, going forward, people are actually coming to us. It's again, not for lack of trying, but what else can we bring to the facility of recruitment and retention. So we're always looking for new ideas, especially with the newer individuals, the 20-somethings coming in that are enticing that. So we want to make sure to give a fresh new spin on this and what we're looking for.
Candidate Rodriguez, what would your priorities be for recruiting and retaining staff?
To go to the communities and tell them that we want them. I've been at many of these communities and we're not there. The Black community, when have we been out there? It's not that they're not applying. It's not that it's because we're not out there recruiting them. And like I said before, who best to serve their community than those are from the community? We need to be out there. We need to build relationships. I've been doing that and I will get that done. It's unfortunate that the sheriff's office right now does not reflect the population of Kane County. In reference to almost 100 deputies, we only have 2 Black officers. That's unacceptable, unacceptable. And I, as Kane County Sheriff, will be in all communities to recruit from the community.
Thank you. Well, that was our last question, so you can now take a deep breath. And we'll begin with closing statements, and we'll begin with candidate Rodriguez. Your 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and to everyone here who attended tonight. Kane County deserves a sheriff who leads with integrity, transparency, and accountability. With 30 years of law enforcement experience at multiple levels of the organization, I understand both the job and the community I serve. Public safety is built on trust through presence, fairness, accountability, and prevention. As sheriff, I will lead by example, support those who serve, and be fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. I know the value of hard work. My parents labored in the fields of Texas and the factories of Nebraska and Illinois, and I have followed their example my entire life. Nothing has been handed to me, nothing, either in life nor at the department. I have earned everything through dedication, education, and service to the community. Throughout this campaign, I have shown that I will work tirelessly for the people of Kane County to earn opportunity as sheriff, and I will bring that same commitment once in office. I ask for your support. Si podemos.
Thank you, Candidate Johnson. Your 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight and for creating a space where voters can hear directly from the candidates and make informed decisions. As you decide who should be the next Kane County Sheriff, I ask you to consider what this job truly requires: experience, steady leadership, and trust. I spent more than 2 decades serving Kane County, starting as an intern and working my way through patrol, investigations, chief of staff, and now under sheriff. I've done the work in practically at every level, and I understand both the mission and the responsibility of leading this office. I'm running to move public safety forward by supporting our deputies, court security, and correction staff, strengthening community partnerships, expanding practical mental health and reentry solutions, and managing taxpayer dollars with transparency and discipline. Kane County deserves a sheriff who is prepared on day one, who leads with integrity, and who brings people together around solutions. I'm ready to serve in that role, and I'd be honored to earn your support and your vote. Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking the candidates for being here tonight. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on local issues and make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope that each and every one of you will vote and inspire your family and friends to do the same on March 17th. Early voting has begun at designated county election authority locations and will widen to additional permanent locations on March 2nd. To vote by mail, please request and return your ballot to your election authority in a timely manner, as your completed ballot must be postmarked no later than March 17th. Please be aware that the United States Post Office has made changes to the postmarking process that could delay the date a postmark is affixed to your mail. Additional information on how and when to vote can be found at vote411.org and the Central Kane County League of Women Voters website and social media. Recording of this forum can be found on the League of Women Voters Central Kane County website and Batavia Access Television. Thank you so much to both of you and for all of you. And we're going to take a short 5-minute break and we'll begin again. Thank you.
Keep her name tag.
Because it's their budget.
Oh.
Just like us.
We would love to have a donation
Yeah.
to get more. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's what it's like. Donation. No, I know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I guess you're. Oh. Power. I love it. I need this at home.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Once again, the goal of the League of Women Voters is to hold forums in contested races so voters can make an informed choice. Currently, there are no Republican candidates for Kane County District 2. All Democrat candidates for Kane County Board District 2 were invited to participate in a forum tonight. We are disappointed the Democratic candidates Matthew Dingeldine and Martha Davidson are unable to attend. Therefore, per the policy of the League of Women Voters, we are providing Democratic candidate Ellen Notke 3 minutes to speak so you can hear directly from her, her goals, and her platform. Candidate Notke.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and VATV for the opportunity to address you tonight. My name is Ellen Notke.
Lean in closer.
I usually have a big mouth. My name is Ellen Notke, and I am running as the Democratic nominee for District 2 on the county board. We moved our family to Kane County in 1990. Kane County is a beautiful place, and we all strive to keep it that way. I'm very proud of my district and love the diversity of the area, which includes parts of Aurora, Batavia, Geneva, and Blackberry townships. I have walked the entire district and know that we are split between incorporated and unincorporated areas. Ordinances passed by our municipalities have no bearing on us in the unincorporated areas, and all the ordinances passed by the county have no influence on municipal government. I have lived in Kane County for 36 years, and in that time, we have never had a board member that lived and understood the issues in the unincorporated area. The fact that we don't have curbs, we don't have city water or sewer, we don't buy our electricity from the nearest city are just some of the differences. As a citizen activist, I've always taken an active role in my community. Whether I speak before a village board about a proposed development or the county board regarding a leaf burning ban, I have always addressed every issue fairly and after much consideration. I had the honor of being appointed by past board chairpersons to sit on public citizen committees. As an activist, I have learned that it takes more than saying no to accomplish something good. Instead, I've learned the best way to win an argument is to present reasonable, articulate facts to the contrary. I know that mental health and substance abuse issues face every family. I will continue to advocate and strongly support the valuable services provided through our jails diversion programs. I support farmland preservation. I will work to protect our natural resources and help reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. I admire that we are working to preserve our national prairies and have brought bison back to King County. My passion for public service runs deep. I have advocated for smart, responsible government, and I'm ready to bring my common sense approach to King County. I urge open dialogue with my constituents on issues of importance and pledge to return every call. When you go to the polls to choose a candidate in District 2, you want to choose a candidate that knows all of the issues facing the entire district. I ask for your vote, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next have a 3-minute statement for the Republican candidate for County Board District 13. And once again, the goal of the League of Women Voters is to hold forums in contested races so voters can make an informed choice. All Republican candidates for County Board District 13 were invited to participate in the forum tonight. We are disappointed that candidate Ryan Denise, Republican candidate for County Board 13, responded he was unable to participate. Therefore, per the policy of the League of Women Voters, we are providing Republican candidate Anthony Luis Catella 3 minutes to speak so you can hear from him directly, his goals, and his platform. Candidate Catella.
Thank you and good evening. It is a pleasure to attend this forum for candidates for Kane County. I commend the civic leadership of the League of Women Voters always for their sponsorship for events such as this, which encourage and support citizen participation in our electoral process. I'm Anthony Catella from St. Charles, and I am once again in the arena for public office. I'm happy to be a candidate running for County Board District 13. as your next board member of KC 13, it will be my distinction to vote for issues that concern you, to vote for measures you would vote for, to speak to issues you believe in. I am in your person as your county board member, representing you and your interests. And I would hope that they would more agree than conflict. The fundamental issue of this campaign, as I have heard, is the high rate of property taxes. The median property tax rate in Kane County is 2.60%. This is higher than both the national and state average. We cannot get rid of property taxes entirely, but I do propose that we can reduce the tax burden. I would support a 10% across the board tax rate cut in property taxes for the next 3 years. I would also support lowering the property tax burden by $3,000 per year. Instead of what I hear is the rule generally now to raise it $3,000 a year. Why not lower it $3,000 a year? This can achieve economic prosperity for Kane County by giving our people jobs and an income with less taxes to pay. The fact is, tax rates are too high and the revenue is too low. And the best way to raise revenue is to cut tax rates now, not later. I believe in and stand for lower taxes and higher revenue. I don't believe in bigger government. I believe in smaller government, which is better government. If you believe this, then I ask for your vote that you would elect me, County Board District 13 representative, to implement these kinds of economic policies, policies that work for you and not against you. I will give my utmost in the great cause of good government for Kane County, Illinois. And on the county board, I will not vote for any taxes you cannot afford. As your KC 13 board member, I will fulfill my duties in office. I will stand publicly for the right principles and place your interest above my own. I will bring to bear all my past experiences as a soldier, a community volunteer, as a minister, and as a citizen politician. All of these experiences have shaped my views of service and of duty. I didn't realize I'd go on that long. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now, if the candidates for County Board 11 and 13 would come forward. Just press the button.
It should respond when someone's there. Should be green. It's not green. I'll get it.
I can move it over.
No. Oh.
I can move it over when she. Yes, of course.
Let's see if they can't set it up real quick.
Yeah. We were planning on 2 and 2, so. but-
Oh, no, it's fine.
She's going to go check.
Does this one work?
No,
No, we only have the batteries in these 2 right now.
Okay.
But we're gonna get it.
we're ahead of schedule anyway,
Yes.
so.
Yes. So, yep. Are they all sorry? We need one.
Judy?
Judy?
Easy.
No, this thing is.
Candidate Jimenez? Jimenez?
Not yet. But that.
And candidate Linda.
Okay, you just put it in and then push the button. It should go on.
I thought I saw something go.
Okay. It'll take a second and then we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, it's not very. I don't think it's warm.
Oh, it's still loading.
Right in action. Oh, perfect.
I think you're good. There you
We're
are.
almost cooking with this, so we can't.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you gotta push your mic on. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, wait, I want, there you go.
How about that?
perfect. We good?
Oh,
Everybody wants to bring their microphone close to your mouth so that we can hear you on television and everywhere. Candidate Linder, are you green?
I was, yeah, I am.
You're green. Okay. Thank you. Welcome to the Democrat Candidate Forum for County Board Districts 11 and 13. Just to clarify, the League holds forum in only contested races, and currently there is no Republican candidate for County Board 11. All candidates were invited, and those attending have signed and returned the ground rules to participate. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order within their district with their 1-minute opening statements. They will then alternate the order for which they answer questions for a maximum of 1 minute. And after the closing portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 1-minute closing statement. Members of the League will act as timers, and I will enforce the time limits. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. Members of the League will act as timers, as I said, and the candidates will be able to see the paddles and give the appropriate time and know when to stop. To ensure that questions represent a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters will review the questions submitted for their appropriateness, applicable to all candidates, and to avoid duplication. You may submit questions during the forum, writing your questions legibly on the index cards provided, which volunteers will collect. We will do our best to read as many questions as possible within the time frame allotted. Once again, for those in attendance today, we do request that you do not take photos or video during the forum. It is a distraction to other members of the audience and to the candidates. Please listen attentively, turn off your phones and electronic devices, and avoid commenting or disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the end of the event. The Democratic candidates for County Board District 11 attending are Julie Forbes and Leslie Juby. The candidates for County Board 13 attending are Nicholas Jimenez and Michael Linder. Candidate Forbes, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Julie Forbes, and I'm running for Kane County Board District 11. I'm a proud Midwest farm girl who is a lifelong Democrat from a strong union family. I'm an Iowa State graduate with a degree in education, which launched my first career as a park ranger with the U.S. Corps of Engineers. I made a slight career change and entered the retail food industry, which I worked for 41 years. The last 17 years of my career, I held senior leadership roles in which I managed national sales organizations, led diverse teams, managed corporate budgets, and wrote strategic plans. So why am I running for District 11? I feel we need stronger Democratic representation on the board to protect and maintain the Democratic majority. I decided to run after attending many board meetings where I was seeing little pushback from some of our board members as Kane County residents were being verbally attacked with lies and misleading information. We need strong voices on the board that represent all members in our community. Now I am ready to put my experience, my voice, and my leadership skills to work for District 11 and Kane County.
Thank you. Candidate Juby.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and for all of you whose commitment to democracy is vital. I'm Leslie Juby, and I'm running for re-election to the Kane County Board. For 30 years, I've been an active member in this community. I have decades of educational leadership with 10 years in Batavia Public Schools, 12 years on the Geneva School Board, and 4 years on the IMSA Board of Trustees. I served 6 years on the Geneva Strategic Plan Committee, and I'm finishing my term as the first Democratic Commissioner in District 11. On the Finance Committee, I advanced balanced budgets and streamlined financial practices. With my colleagues on public health, I expanded access to prenatal care and life-saving Narcan to help address the opioid crisis. I helped protect our environment by stewarding the additional 44 acres to the Meisner Core and Forest Preserve. And as chair of the Ag Committee, I elevated awareness of equine agriculture's great economic contribution to Kane County. With your vote, I will continue to keep Kane County safe and thriving.
Thank you. Candidate Jimenez, your opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Nico Jimenez, and I am running for the Kane County Board to create a government that works for working people. I was born and raised here in Kane County, so this community is part of who I am. I'm raising my family right now with my wife. I have 3 toddlers at home right now, so I'm used to running around. And I'm now running on a plan that focuses on protecting essential services while balancing the budget responsibly and with discipline. This means eliminating corporate subsidies and low-return incentives, investing in prevention-based programs in mental health, housing, and public safety, and modernizing county operations with efficiency and sustainability. I will prioritize investments in energy-efficient public facilities and transportation systems that move more people efficiently while lowering long-term costs. For people in Kane County, this approach means reliable public safety, stable infrastructure, predictable taxes, and long-term community benefits. It means a county that prevents problems before a crisis.
Thank you so much. Candidate Linder, your 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Michael Linder. I'm a lifelong resident of the area, mostly in St. Charles. My family has a history in both St. Charles and Geneva dating back into the 1800s. I'm very invested in the community. I love this as a beautiful place to live and work, and I think other people do too. We want to maintain that. We're challenged on the board with financial problems. We don't have enough money to do everything we'd like to do, and yet, you know, there are more things that we'd like to do that we haven't even talked about. We need to find a way to increase revenue without raising taxes. We need to find a way to maintain all the current services that the county offers without having to raise taxes.
Thank you. Candidate Juby, the first question will begin with you. What do you see as the primary responsibilities of a Kane County board member, and what would be your 3 top priorities in your first year?
Well, the top priorities of being a commissioner are dealing with taxpayer money and providing services. That's the top issue. The things that I have been working on for the past 3 years are prioritizing balanced budgets, expanding public health initiatives, making sure that we have those vital public services. And I'm also big on protecting our environmental and our farmland, because that's very important. It's our second largest economic generator. So those would be the 3 things.
Candidate Jimenez, what do you see as the primary responsibilities of a Kane County board member, and what would be your 3 top priorities in your first year?
My priorities would be ensuring housing stability and affordability. Kane County is one of the most expensive places to live in Illinois, and I want to ensure that the county uses every tool from zoning to community land trust and partnership to prevent displacement and to keep things affordable. Fiscal discipline and responsibility. Fiscal responsibility must center on people, and we need budgets that focus on outcomes, cutting waste while preserving programs that protect families, keeping people employed, and preventing harm. And the third would be protecting the environment around the Fox River Valley. I will pursue a comprehensive climate-forward strategy that reduces emissions, protects natural resources, and builds more equitable, resilient, and sustainable communities.
Thank you. And candidate Linder, the same question.
King County Board member has the primary responsibility of attending meetings, coming prepared, having read the documentation for the meeting, and being able to respond to any comments or questions or complaints from constituents that relate to the issues that are presented in the meeting. I'm looking forward to some things that we need to do. We have a great health department, but we do very little in the area of mental health, and we need to do more work on mental health. Much as the sheriff's deputies were talking about, or sheriff's candidates were talking about before, dealing with autism and people who have mental health issues, we don't have much for them. In addition, I'd like to see us do some things with transportation. The bus system that goes through the Tri-Cities here is inferior to the one that I used as a child in 1960.
Thank you. And candidate Forbes?
The three priorities, as I see them, are actually all interrelated. Obviously, the county is responsible for the budget. Not only just managing and balancing the budget, but also bringing in revenue. And that's a dialogue that I know that's tough. And one of the things that's encouraging me to right now is the development and actually the approval of a county board strategic plan for the first one in 19 years. To me, that is extremely important to develop the budget, but also have a plan in place for also how do you bring in the revenue. So they're all three integrated, and it's not only just three priorities, it's actually one big priority. And I'm so excited that finally that the board is going to be doing a strategic plan, because that will lay out 1, 3, and 5 years, the opportunities in how we're doing our funding, but also the accountability to those members.
Thank you. Candidate Jimenez, how would you balance keeping taxes affordable while ensuring the county provides essential services?
Keeping the county affordable and ensuring that we have those services is utmost important to the people and working people in this county. We know, as I mentioned earlier, that this is one of the most expensive places to live in Illinois. And I will oppose regressive taxes like sales taxes because it will ultimately impact families who need money the most, who are struggling the hardest. Instead, my focus is on fair, progressive revenue mechanisms that ask those benefiting from growth to contribute their share. For example, high-value commercial transactions, luxury property transfers, or other progressive surcharges that legally are authorized through the state. This works because it directs funding toward the county from those who have the greatest ability to pay, rather than taking from grocery bills, gas, and everyday living expenses.
Thank you. Candidate Linder?
Nobody likes to pay more tax, and that's the thing we need to prevent doing. We need to find some economies in how we run the county, and we need to find outside revenue sources. Things like taxing real estate transfers that are in those $1 million homes. People who can afford those kinds of things. Things like taxes on, on luxury automobiles, but not on the things that you and I buy every day. We have a number of people in this county who are very prosperous, who can afford to do much more than they are, and we need to ask them, both individuals and corporations.
Thank you. Candidate Forbes.
I think one of the first things you need to do is step back a little bit and take a look at what inefficiencies you potentially have in your budget. And that'll be from the ground up and the subcommittees up to the board. I don't know that because I'm not there yet, but I think that's one of the things we need to first take a look at and also do a return on investment. Where is our money going and what is the return on investment? What's getting the big bang for our buck? So evaluating that, I also believe in, a way of how do we drive revenue into the county outside of taxes? It's a very, very difficult topic and it's hard to do. That's a reality. But I think there's different ways you can look at it. Kane County just recently did take up some taxes because we hadn't done anything with the CPI for over 10 years. It finally caught up to us. So we have to really be realistic. And I want to go back to the strat plan. Once we put a strat plan in place, we should know out 1, 3, and 5 years, not only the programs that we're funding, how much they cost, but how are we going to generate that revenue to keep those programs without cutting back?
Thank you. And Candidate Juby.
So for the last budget cycle, we were able to reduce the budget by about $14 million. We asked our department heads and our elected officials to find efficiencies and to look at their service delivery and make changes. Kane County is not a home rule community, so we have very little things that are available to us for raising taxes. We can increase our tax levy, which we have. We can capture new construction, which we do. We can raise the gas and grocery taxes, which we did, or we can go through referendum. And if we do that, then we give the actual taxpayers the ability to see if we have made a case for the reason for doing that. But we can also raise our fees that are kind of outdated. But other than that, we have very little left at our disposal because we are not home rule.
Thank you. Candidate Linder, the next question will begin with you. Is there a specific issue pending in your district that the county board should address, and how should that issue be addressed?
My district is unique in that almost all of it is contained within the municipalities. So the issues that would be particular to my district are very few. Again, the taxes are a huge, huge thing. And nobody wants to pay more tax. So that increasing revenues, increasing fees, we've done some of that in the past year. For instance, the development department has gone through and looked at their fees for permitting and for inspections and so forth and found that they hadn't done anything in many years. And so we've adjusted some of that. It is hard to give something for within my district because almost all of my district is within the municipalities.
Thank you. Candidate Forbes?
Being in District 11 in Geneva, we have a very dense, community. And the one thing that I've heard loud and clear when I've been on my listening tour is affordable housing. There's just not a lot of opportunities, not only in homes, but also in rental properties. Right now in the area, we have a 1% vacancy rate on rentals. And I sit there and I like, how do we keep our young people in our community? How do we keep them here? So that has been a hot topic in the city of Geneva, and just unaffordability. And it also gets back to, the taxes and what do we do to address that? So it gets back to the revenue stream and giving those tax breaks to the lower income housing. I don't know how that works yet because I'm new at this, but I just really think in hearing the community coming out and just really talking about affordability and housing is a key priority for District 11.
Candidate Juby?
I agree. We have an affordable housing issue. We have behavioral health support issues. We have access to services and food insecurities. If you had asked me 6 months ago, those would all be the big issues. But what I'm hearing now when I go to the doors is something that the county really doesn't have a whole lot of control over, and that's the assault on our democracy. And people are worried because the guardrails are being eroded. We're worried because we don't have due process. They're worried because we have discrimination and we have hatred and we have an uptick in violence towards people. And so what we can do as a county board is what we did. We adopted resolutions saying that we were in support of our immigrants. We have secured elections so that we can hopefully not have issues that way. But what we can do is we can just be together and be supportive and try to make sure that the people in our community are protected. And like I said, I wish I could have said it was affordable housing and the lack of a dam, but it isn't. That's not what I'm hearing.
And candidate Jimenez.
I've had the opportunity to speak to a large number of people in this community, renters and people who are in this community that have maybe lived here for a while. I have not really seen a lot of people who are new to the area or have just moved in. People in my age group who are trying to start a family and move into this community are troubled by the fact that this is an enormously unaffordable area. What I said earlier, as far as my priorities are concerned, is housing stability and affordability. What can we do for the renters and for those who right now are troubled with stagnant wages and increasing exponential costs to ensure that we have community land trusts, things that we can put in place that will help people the most, who need it the most? Things like ensuring that we have tenant protections so that people who are living in these renting areas are not going to be displaced or harmed because they have to then move out of their homes.
Thank you. Candidate Linder. Oh, I'm sorry. Candidate Linder, you've answered this question. Yes.
I
So
was
we're going to
first.
begin with candidate Forbes.
You would answer it again?
Huh?
No, I was going to say, you want to answer it again?
You might want to
Yeah,
answer again.
I'll
I'm
give
going
you
to
a
change his
second
answer
chance.
now. He's heard all of ours.
Yeah.
Ditto, right, Mike?
Because I heard a lot of good ideas over here. I changed my answer.
So candidate Forbes, sorry, I was sorting questions and I lost track. It was my fault. Candidate Forbes, what is your position on the unauthorized use of Kane County property for federal immigration enforcement officers?
I believe and support the Trust Act. I believe that, we have to have the separation of the county properties where we do not let ICE stage. I am a supporter, an activist for our immigrant community, and I really fully believe that we have to keep the separation of the government and fully endorse the recent resolutions that are passed by Kane County Board on making sure that our county properties are not staging grounds and that we do adhere to and we follow the Trust Act of Illinois.
Candidate Juby.
I actually voted to limit the civil immigration enforcement activities on county-owned property, their parking lots and their vacant lots and their garages. We can't prevent people from immigration from being on our property because we do have them serve federal warrants on some of our properties, but we can prevent them from staging and we can prevent them from having violent behavior. Building trust between the immigrant community and law enforcement leads to a safer neighborhood, and it allows the scarce resources to remain focused in the local crime prevention and investigation. And so that's why it's very important that Illinois stays firm to the Trust Act and that Kane County is as diligent as it can be to fall within the boundaries of that. And we do ask our state's attorney to give us her legal opinion on it when we have questions so that we're always in compliance. And yes, there's more we would like to do, but we're limited by what we're allowed to.
Candidate Jimenez.
I come from a family of immigrants, and the things that are happening in our country right now breaks my heart to see the devastation that communities and families are experiencing in this moment in time. I too support the Trust Act, and I do support the local municipalities that have stood up in opposition to things that are happening on public spaces, and I will continue to support that. I want this to be a safe community where people can go to do their groceries, to get gas, to get the services from local municipalities and government at the county level without fear that something is going to happen to them or to their families. I will absolutely support that because it is, in my view, imperative to have a safe and robust democracy, that we treat people fairly, with kindness, respect, and with love, and I will uphold that with honor and integrity as a board member.
Thank you. And Candidate Linder.
Well, absolutely. I support the Trust Act. I'm somewhat disappointed that St. Charles, where I live, the city council has refused to take as strong an action as the county and the other municipalities have in terms of telling ICE that they cannot stage. It's horrible that people are frightened to leave their home. One of the problems that's come up right in my community is we have a grocery store that caters to the Latino community, La Huerta on Randall Road. And their business is suffering because the Latino families, either those who are non-documented or just those who just don't want to be harassed, are not coming out to shop. The effect on our community is horrible. What are we teaching our children? Our children should be learning about tolerance and acceptance, not about who can we get and grab. This needs to change.
Thank you. Candidate Juby, how should Kane County manage development while protecting farmland and natural resources?
Okay. We need to be very thoughtful. We need to understand that over 51% of Kane County is agriculture, and that in the state of Illinois, we have one of the highest land categories for our soil. We are incredibly blessed that we have it. We need to be careful that when we do our expansion, we don't overgrow and lose a huge economic driver of agriculture. If we have no farms, we have no food. And if we have too much development, we have stress on our infrastructures. So I think we need to do that through zoning. We need to do it through thoughtful consideration, and we need to do it through expanding our farmland preservation ordinances and our local match. We need to put more money toward our federal match so that we can put more farms in protection and conservation and protect our family generational farming.
Candidate Jimenez.
Growth is an opportunity, but unmanaged growth can put serious pressure on natural resources. In King County, Western communities, like we were speaking about in our agricultural communities, rely heavily on aquifers that are already stressed. My plan treats water as a public utility and a public right and blocks privatization of county-controlled water systems. High consumption developments are carefully managed through infrastructure approvals and funding requirements, and we invest in water management and conservation and reuse. For me, in these areas, we want to make sure that we are very thoughtful of how we're developing so that we are not impacting our environment negatively. And we're also not subjugating the farmers in these areas that rely on this agricultural as a business and as a livelihood. So it takes very careful and thoughtful consideration, not just blanket statements or proclamations, but something that we go into these communities to understand very realistically what needs to be done to achieve both objectives.
And Candidate Linder.
Again, Kane County is about 51% in agricultural land. It needs to stay at about that level. It's our second largest economic driver. On the other hand, development can bring in tax dollars that will fund some of the many things we need to do. So we need to do two things. We need to find development corridors, areas that are already cut up with industrial and other uses, that we could find spaces for the development without taking farmland. And we need to look at, when we do bring places in, that we don't do these data centers that eat up the water and don't eat up the electricity. And that when we bring development in, it should be development that brings jobs to the county and not just tax dollars. Too many communities have been greedy about the tax dollars that come from some of these developments, warehouses and data centers.
Candidate Forbes.
There is tremendous pressure on our resources to generate income and revenue for the county. And I am concerned about managing that growth and not knee-jerking our reaction of trying to generate cash and revenue. We've been talking about it all night. That we have to understand the repercussion of our actions. And Mike brought it up, one of my key concern areas are the AI, the data centers, and what they're doing to our landscape, what they're doing to our natural resources. And they are spreading so fast. And the regulations and laws are not caught up on technology right now. So it's a very concerning issue to me. We have to look at what our the actions, what the repercussions of our actions. And for our generations ahead, yes, 51% of our county is farmland. I want to make sure that we really have a strategic plan to really think out a 1, 3, 5, 10-year plan of how we're going to manage our resources and not always look at it as a money generator.
Thank you. This next question is rather long, so if you need me to repeat it, please feel free to ask. But it revolves around data centers. The effects of data centers on electrical usage, water usage, and noise pollution are regional. Data centers impact residents beyond the borders of the community where the data center is built. What restrictions, if any, should be put on data centers being proposed in areas of Kane County where the Kane County Board has jurisdiction? Should the county work with municipalities in Kane County to collectively regulate the development of the data centers? So let me ask the two questions once again so we're all clear. What restrictions, if any, should be put on data centers being proposed in areas of Kane County where the Kane County Board has jurisdiction? And second part is, should the county work with municipalities in Kane County to collectively regulate the development of data centers? And Candidate Jimenez, we'll start with you.
Okay. I understand the economic possibility of bringing in a data center, but I will not accept or approve any development of a data center that doesn't go through the necessary requirements to ensure the environment is not going to be negatively impacted. I want to ensure that communities in the surrounding areas are directly engaged with so that they are fully informed and aware of what the development could be. But I will make sure that as a board member, environmental impact studies to ensure that there is no negative impact to the environment is built into the approval process for that development. As far as intergovernmental partnerships, it goes without saying that needs to be happening at the county and municipal level, if not at the state level, to ensure that we are standardizing that approach so that not just here in Kane County or in our local municipalities like Geneva, Batavia, St. Charles, but we are assessing this holistically so that we do not have negative impacts to our communities as far as the environment is concerned.
Thank you. Candidate Linder.
I would enforce a moratorium on data centers in the land that the county controls, and I think we need to encourage the communities to do as well. There's an example right now out in the Sugar Grove area of a data center that's been approved. The land is being annexed into the village, so it's no longer county authority. And there are people very nearby who have shallow wells, are going to have to, at the very least, dig much deeper wells. And it just isn't going to, because of the water that the data center would use. Data centers talk about being able to recirculate the water. Even if they recirculate the water, the amount of water that they will lose through evaporation, spillage, and whatever over the course of a year will devastate the water table. We just don't need it, and we need to find other kinds of development that will produce the kind of tax revenues that the communities of the county need without going into the data centers.
Candidate Forbes.
As we've talked about, this is, again, is just a great example, because I was just talking on the previous question of we really have to step back and take a look at the repercussions of the actions, especially with the data centers. We can't continue to focus and try to turn a quick dime as far as revenue, because I know we're all talking about revenue and how we generate it. And the sales pitch is to do that. Data centers will bring in jobs and they will bring in revenue. You know, what are the tax breaks? But I actually agree with Mike. We are in a situation right now where our regulations and laws are not keeping up with our technology. And when you do go out to the Sugar Grove area, the residents are very concerned that they're going to have to dig down further at their cost, $10,000 to $15,000 to get more water, because the water tables are going to drop. Then you have gas emissions, and then you just have the effect of the power grid. So right now, I really do think we need to step back and take a look at what the impact is of the data centers and get our regulations in place, because you know what? It's going to be too late if we don't do something now.
Candidate Chuby?
Well, King County has nothing in place right now. We have not been approached on our unincorporated areas about data centers. So as a board, we really need to get on top of it. Some of the things we could do is we could require the data centers to have their own source of energy. We could require them having solar panels. We could require them to recycle their water. We can require them to keep their hours of operation so that it fits into the neighborhood. But basically, we need to make sure that wherever they go, that we have mechanisms in place to be able to dictate what they can and can't do. And we don't have that right now. And it's something we need to do. So zoning's only as good as what you have, and we don't have it.
Candidate Linder, recognizing that the county board's authority is limited regarding the development of affordable housing projects, is the lack of affordable housing in Kane County a problem? And if so, is there a role for the county board to play in helping Kane County municipalities tackle this problem?
Well, yes, we are doing some of that, mostly through federal grants that we receive and that we pass on. We're working with Elgin, we're working with St. Charles, and with some other small projects. But yes, and it is going to have to be looking for federal assistance, if there's ever going to be a statewide assistance for housing. But there's no way that we can currently tax our residents to pay for it. So it's got to be money that comes from the outside. We do heavily lobby in Springfield and in Washington, and I think we need to lobby for legislation that provides for affordable housing. That would be probably the best we can do at this point.
Candidate Forbes.
I think it's a great opportunity to work with the municipalities of identifying properties that might be run down, that we could, possibly share together and buy and bring in affordable housing. Right now, we're in a very dense location. And where do we go to get the housing? We have long-term, low-interest programs. We have rental programs that we can work with our community. But as a group, and when you take a look at our whole community, I really do think that we have to work better together of identifying those areas where we could possibly work together on bringing in low-income housing.
Candidate Chuby.
Well, we've all said we definitely have an affordability problem. I live in Geneva, so it's horrible where we are. However, the county is very limited to what they can do. And as Mike said, through our workforce development and through our affordable housing and through some of our federal and our state grants, we've been able to provide a very small amount. We are unfortunately at the mercy of a funding source, and because it's not something we actually have a lot of control over on the county level, we have to make sure that when we do something, we lobby. We have actually our chair of our legislative committee is here, and every time we have our phone calls, we ask what's available. Can we put in for a grant? Can we put in for a federal grant? Things like that. So it's limited. I wish we could say, yeah, we had control over it, but I would be lying to all of you. We don't have that much control over it, and I'm sorry we don't.
Candidate Jimenez.
Everybody here has talked about affordability and the challenges that the county faces. And one of the things that impacts me directly is understanding my siblings, my friends that might not have the opportunity to move into the community that they grew up in and call home. That's a reality. I have siblings younger than me that are trying to start their lives and they just simply cannot. And so, as the candidates up here have mentioned, what partnerships can we enact between municipalities? What support can we get through federal or state funding, as was mentioned earlier, to help integrate that and to build these communities so that it is affordable? From a developmental standpoint, can we examine what it would be to require developers to incorporate this into things that they want to build in the county? These are things that we need to look at very aggressively and boldly if we are going to face a generation that might not be able to move back home in an area that they grew up in. And I think it's important that we look at this very seriously.
Thank you. Candidate Forbes. What role should the county board play in expanding mental health and social service resources?
As much as we can. There was just a recent announcement from the Public Health Department of the Circle of Care. I believe it just came out in the last couple of days, which is a very exciting program. Mental health is a very serious issue right now, especially with our youth. And I believe we have to really figure out how we fund and expand the programs to not only our youth, but special groups. Our immigrants are suffering right now. You know, we have call-in numbers, we have support programs. The health department, in my opinion, and I wouldn't have said this to, a couple years ago, should be top of mind because it embraces a lot of our community members. It embraces a lot of the marginalized groups that are out there suffering right now. We need to find the opportunities for these groups to come and have the resources, the opportunities, and the support for Kane County. And I think we really do need to work to figure out the revenue stream and make sure that programs like this we expand on.
Candidate Juby?
So our health department acts as a training facility. We provide grants and training to other organizations so that they can be the ones to supply the actual services. We're not set up for that. I wish we were like DuPage and we had our own mental health center, but we don't. So we're very limited in that way. We do offer mental health supports through our justice system. In our alternative courts, we offer it through our JJC with our kids. We try to support it through our school districts, through the Regional Office of Education. We provide training. But like everyone says, it's all about money. So do we do a good enough job? No. Do we do a better job than a lot of people? Yeah. Do we do as good as we should? Absolutely not. So we just have to look to see where we can carve off little bits where we can offer a little bit more services, a little bit better, and a little bit more efficiently.
Thank you, Candidate Jimenez.
My priorities focus on prevention, accessibility, and integration across services. I would expand county-run mental health crisis teams, housing first initiatives, and addiction treatment programs, ensuring they operate in coordination with public safety and healthcare providers. Prevention is an investment into our community, not just to help and serve those that need it the most, but it is also a financial responsibility that we have. Prevention will help recidivism. If we provide the care that people in our county need, it will stop the cycle of people going into the court and jail systems. For mental health and mental illness that we have here, we need to make sure that we are prioritizing this type of funding and investment because it is investment for not just today, but for our future. A lot of what I talk about is not just what we can do right now, but how, similar to what Julie was saying, how can we strategically plan for the decades to come?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Candidate Linder?
Well, again, mental health is one of the things I mentioned in my introduction tonight. It's a big issue and it's expensive. I think we do have some possibility. We have purchased a building in Elgin for our health department. And other county departments are moving in as well, but there's going to be some additional space there. So the possibility that community agencies could save a little bit of money on office space to put on a couple more staff people to come in and help with some mental health counseling or other programs. We'll have space there for group activities and so forth. But the money is huge, and that's going to be the key.
Thank you. Going to shift gears here a little bit. And we'll begin with candidate Juby. What particular provision of the Kane County Climate Implementation Plan do you support, and what action would you personally take to ensure that provision's goals are successfully implemented?
It's a very long document, and I don't have it in front of me, so it's probably not going to give you the answer you want. What I can tell you is I supported the document. I voted yes for it. I like the fact that we are going for a reduction of reliance on our fossil fuels. I like the fact that we're looking at solar responsibly. I like the fact that we're investing in our electric vehicles. I like the fact that we're finally going to be looking at lights that come on and off when you're not in there, and just small areas that we can do that. But as for the whole plan, that's a really unfair question to ask with a minute answer. So good luck, you guys.
Candidate Jimenez, you have 1 minute to distill this document.
Certainly. And the 1 minute, similar to what candidate Juby was saying, is I don't have a specific provision, but what I will say is this. It is paramount to the future of our society, our community, and to this county specifically, that we are investing very boldly in climate action. And I will completely support in the expansion of the climate action plan, because I believe it is imperative to the people of this county and to future generations. I, as a vision, have an image of an interconnected county that utilizes clean, green energy and ensures that we have public transportation, walk paths, bike paths, things that keep us and bring us closer together. And I want to be a shining beacon of what our environment can be, and utilizing the 51% of our agricultural land and forest preserve districts to showcase that from an environmental justice standpoint. And I will, as a candidate and as a board member, support that fully in my time on the county board.
Candidate Linder?
You know, we've had some setback from the federal government in terms of how they're supporting electric vehicles, which then is decreasing the production of electric vehicles, going to make it harder for us to purchase them. But we still have to prioritize that. We have to set an example for the community in taking our gasoline-powered vehicles off the road. I also, we keep talking about a nice piece of land to put a solar facility, and I wonder what's wrong with our rooftops. We can then have land that remains in recreational use, remains in farm production, whatever, and yet produce electricity by using our rooftops.
Candidate Forbes?
The Climate Implementation Plan, which was written in 2024, is across energy efficiency, waste, agriculture, and transportation. So what I suggest is let's step back, and where's the scorecard on how we're doing? I've not heard any results in documentation of how well we're doing before we even continue to draw the programs. So, one of them was reducing gas emissions by 25% by 2030. My questioning on the plan is, how are we doing? How are we doing? So the answer to the question is, let's take a look at the entire plan that was written in 2024. What can we do to measure it? Are we successful? If not, if we're not, then let's do something about it. Expanding green space is one of the key priorities of the plan. Again, I'm going to get back to the data centers. Let's make sure we understand the implications of our actions. What's the return on investment? And we're doing the right thing, not only for the agricultural land, but also for our community members.
Thank you. Candidate Jimenez, what steps would you support to increase transparency in county government decisions and spending?
Transparency, to me, is about rules and enforceable mechanisms, not just press releases and things of that nature. My plan requires measurable public returns for any subsidies or incentive programs, enforce labor and compliance standards on all county contracts, and clearly separate essential services from discretionary spending. This ensures that every dollar is tracked and that private interests cannot exploit county programs without delivering public benefit. For residents, that means you know exactly where your tax dollars go, and there is less waste that is happening within the county. To me, it's about turning accountability into a daily operational standard so county governance is predictable, it's responsible, and focused on serving people first and foremost.
Candidate Linder?
Transparency is a big issue. We work at it all the time. Part of that is a shortcoming is that our board meetings are always during the day, and working people that are not able to attend. We have made sure that working people are able to retrieve those things on YouTube at a later time, but they aren't able to participate. They aren't able to see the board in action. They aren't able to get the feeling for what we're doing. Unfortunately, we use so much staff time in our meetings that for us to go to evening meetings would mean paying staff extra to work in the evening, or coming up with some confusing system of how do we give them comp time for the meetings and so forth. So we need to continue to emphasize to people that they can go to YouTube and they can see every one of our meetings, listen to every one of our discussions, listen to every wise and stupid thing we say.
Thank you. Candidate Forbes?
First, I believe that there is good transparency on the communication of the budgets. But what's confusing and frustrating from what I'm hearing from our community is there's so much information. It's deciphering, trying to figure out what all this means. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of pages. I think there's good ways of communicating better through online or however we want to do it, of just doing summary pages. Because, I mean, yes, we're transparent. We're going to just float the budget out on the internet. It doesn't work that way. It's one of the top issues that's facing our community. It's like, there's transparency, but what does it mean to me? So it's a communication process getting back to there. I actually have been asked this question about, the diversity of the board and holding of our board meetings. And there is some thought behind about moving the board meetings to evening so that we can get diversity of thought, diversity of people that aren't working. I mean, it's hard to work when your meetings are on a Tuesday morning. And I applaud people like Nico with the family that wants to try to be a board member.
Thank you. Candidate Juby?
Well, transparency is a kind of a tricky thing, like everyone else has said. We put every single document online. We don't tell you how to read it. We don't tell you how to understand it, but we make it available. So we have technically complied with transparency issues. When we have our meetings at the board in the committee level, that's where you really get the meat of the understanding. That's where you get the summaries. That's where you get this is what we really need. This is what's important. This is what isn't important. And we do put it online, which is great. I would love having evening meetings. I came from a board that had evening meetings, but right now we can't afford it. We can't afford to pay our staff. We can't afford to have the resources to do that. We have a lot of other county electeds that also report to our committees, and we can't tell them when to come. We can't require them to come. We can't do anything. They have internal controls. So pretty much the burden is on us to let you watch our committee meetings.
Thank you. Candidate Linder? And this will be our last question, so you can all relax, okay? And the question is this: how would you work with board members who have views that are different from yours? How would you work with board members who have views that are different from yours?
It's a matter of recognizing those differences and sitting down and talking and trying to discuss what those differences are, because sometimes they're differences in understanding rather than differences in belief. Sometimes there are differences in belief, and you have to respect that. I have one board member that I disagree with most of the time, and yet if I can talk to him, if I can be friendly with him, maybe on some issues I can get through to him, and maybe on some issues he'll get through to me. We need to have the dialogue. It needs to be not chummy, but friendly, cordial relationships so that we can communicate with each other.
Thank you, Candidate Forbes.
That's a great question. It's a tough one because it's relative and it's a hot button right now. But I think you need to face the challenges right on. And I think that's where my experience comes in because I did this for 40 years with very, very challenging customers and trying to come to a common agreement of having results for both parties. I agree with Mike, it's facing them straight on, meeting with the people. You have to sit down with them. You can't ignore them. You can't walk away from it because it's a reflection not only of the board, but it's a reflection of the community. We have to at least show some effort of working together. That's at fault right now. There's some things that we could work on. This is one area. And I just really think that working in collaboration within the board members, coming to a common ground, resolving the problems together, and having a joint success is the way to go.
Candidate Juby.
Well, we actually agree more often than we disagree. But when we disagree, it's a pretty big disagreement. I found in my years of doing board work that relationships are everything. Establishing a clear communication and understanding that they're probably just as passionate about their beliefs as you are about yours. And that you need to have, like Mike said, when you sit down, we had an instance where we had some things that were being said that were uncomfortable. And I sat down after the meeting and I explained what I thought was wrong and why I thought it was out of place and what were you thinking. And we had a dialogue. And I'm not saying that it changed anybody's opinion, but we don't seem to be having those issues right now at the table. And I think it's all about sitting down, understanding that your way is not always going to be the right way, but you give the other person the respect to say what they believe. And if you can't, you just agree to disagree.
And Candidate Jimenez.
It's not about agreement for its own sake, right? It's about creating results that will benefit our community. First and foremost, as a public servant, that is what we are here to do, regardless of political division. I would like to seek compromise when it is apparent, when it is an option, but it will never deter me from my core principles or value or my integrity. I want to come to decisions and conversations while we're communicating with evidence-based, data-driven proposals, with clear communication, and a negotiation so that we can have this dialogue openly to come to an agreement on what is going to be best for people. That is how I think that we can speak and communicate in a time where there is such division in our country and in our communities. It is time that we speak intelligently and try and bring people together.
Thank you. Well, it's time for closing comments, and we'll start with Candidate Forbes. You have 1 minute for your closing comments.
First, thank you to the League of Women Voters and for the audience for submitting some great but some tough questions. So why elect Julie Forbes for District 11? As your representative, I will fight harder for the people of Kane County. I will be a strong voice for all of our community members, but especially for the residents who don't think they have a seat at the table or that they're being heard. I am a true Democrat committed to our shared values, and I will vote to protect and maintain the Democratic majority on the board. I will work collaboratively and respectfully with others to get the results for all Kane County residents. I also will not align with or vote for far-right extremists over qualified Democrats for key leadership positions. Finally, we live in a beautiful county full of great potential, and I want you to know that as your representative, I will listen to you, I will hear you, and I will work hard for you to get things done. And I'm a very qualified candidate for the position. If you want to get to know me more, just visit my website at julieforkane.com, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Candidate Juby, your closing statement.
Hey, for the past 3 years, I've worked diligently to learn the policies and procedures that govern Kane County. I thoroughly study every issue that becomes before the board, and I invest the time necessary to be fully prepared for every committee meeting, regardless of my assignments. I bring a strong work ethic and a results-driven approach to the job. I've applied my previous experience and training in governance, fiscal management, long-term, short and long-term strategic planning, public safety, legislation, policy, and community engagement to my role as commissioner. I've leveraged my personal and professional relationships developed over 20 years of public service to get positive outcomes for my community. I'm humbled each day that I represent the residents of my district, and I will continue to treat my public service as a privilege earned through hard work and trust. Experience matters. I will ask for your vote on March 17th to allow me to continue this important work on your behalf. Thank you.
Candidate Jimenez?
I want to leave you with a very clear vision of what it is we can accomplish. Kane County faces challenges that will require leaders to act strategically, not reactively. My approach is practical, measurable, and results-driven. What sets me apart is not ideology, it's a results-oriented approach. I'm committed to transparency, to ensuring that every dollar is accounted for and making tough, principled decisions that benefit our community. I'm running a local grassroots campaign that is focused on people and our community, a community that I was born and raised in, and now I'm raising my own family in. As I knock on doors, it's apparent that people want change, and I'm committing to people that I will listen, that I will engage actively, and be there for them to speak to me. I want to be a voice for the voiceless. Together, we can create a Kane County that is financially stable, socially, economically, and environmentally equitable, a county that works for working people.
Thank you. Candidate Linder?
I am a lifelong resident. I value living here. I value our community, and I want to make it a better place for everyone.
I answer every phone call and every email I get from a constituent. I follow up on their concerns, even sometimes when I think their concerns are not very concerning, but they do. And so I follow up on it. I talk to staff, I talk to other board members, I talk to the state's attorney sometimes, and I come back to them with answers. I care a lot about Kane County. It's a wonderful, beautiful place to live. I want to continue to live here, and I want everyone who lives here to enjoy it. I thank the league. I thank the audience. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here and meet with you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking the candidates for being here tonight. Information on how and when to vote can be found at vote411.org and the Central Kane County League of Women Voters website and social media. Recording of this forum can be found on the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County website and Batavia Access Television. Wait 1 second. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to Kelly.
We're almost done. As we wrap up tonight, I want to extend my gratitude to all the candidates for your participation and to you, the audience, for your engagement. Your presence tonight demonstrates the importance of civic involvement and the desire for informed decision-making within our community. If we did not ask your question tonight, we recommend that you send them directly to the candidates. And we also encourage you to keep asking questions, keep seeking information, and keep engaging with the candidates in the days leading up to the election. Remember, your vote is your voice, and it is vital that you make it heard. A very special thanks to Batavia City Hall for hosting us and to all those who made this forum possible, including all of our volunteers and supporters. We hope this evening has provided valuable insights to aid you in making informed decisions on Election Day. Our next forum is next week on the 11th here at Batavia City Hall, where we will host the candidates for the 11th congressional seat and the 33rd Illinois Senate seat. Early voting began today, and Election Day is March 17th. Please check our League of Women Voters Central Kane County website and the Kane County Clerk's website for more information. Thank you again for being here. Safe travels home, and let's continue to engage in meaningful conversations as we work together to strengthen our community. Thank you.